So now we're going to talk about the law of cosines. So the law of cosines states that the square of any side of a triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides minus twice the product of the other two sides and the cosine of the included angle. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of information. Okay, so look at what we have. The square of any side of a triangle. The square of any side of a triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. The sum of the squares of the other two sides minus twice the product of the other two sides, minus twice the product of the other two sides, and the cosine of the included angle. In other words, if you're looking for this side, a squared, you need to know this one, you need to know this one, and you need to know the angle between them. That's pretty much what this formula is telling you. And each of these formulas work the same way. So you could really just remember the format, and then you don't even have to remember the formula. Well, let's see how this works. Find the unknown side and angles of the triangle. So it looks like we're looking for B, we're looking for alpha, we're looking for gamma. Alright, so we do know two sides and the angle between them, which means we can use the law of cosines. This is called a side angle side triangle. So since we're looking for B, that's going to be equal to the square of the two sides, the sum of those. So we have 10 squared plus 12 squared minus their product, so 12 times 10 or 10 times 12, and then cosine of the angle between them. So we multiply all of these out. 10 squared plus 12 squared minus 12 times 10. So 100 plus 144 is 244. Oh, I forgot my 2, didn't I? Yes, in the formula there's a 2 there. Sorry about that. Let me put that in right there. So we have 240 right there instead. Alright, so 244 minus 240 cosine 30 degrees. Now remember order of operations. You multiply before you do this subtraction business. So be really careful with that. This is approximately equal to 36 point a whole bunch of stuff. I just want to check my mode really fast. Yes, it's in degrees. Okay, so I don't want to actually use this in rounded form. What I want to do is store this in x. So remember on your calculator, that's stow x, enter. And it looks something like that. Because right now what we have is b squared is equal to that number. I'm just going to make a little note that I stored this in x. So that means if I take the square root of both sides, I do get plus or minus, but we're talking about the side of a triangle, so we don't need negative. We take the square root of both sides, so b will be approximately equal to what? Well, it's going to be the square root of x, because I stored that in the letter x. So I get approximately 6.013. So that's going to be side B. Well, now that I know this side, I can actually switch and use my law of sines to find the angle, because the law of sines is a little bit easier to remember. So we can do sine of beta over b. I was going to write beta, but I'll write 30 degrees. Sine of beta over b is equal to, let's work with alpha. So sine of alpha over a. So this is just like what we did in the last section. Cross multiply. and solve for sine of alpha. So sine of alpha is equal to all this divided by 6.03. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to store this over what I already had in x. Notice I haven't taken anything out of my calculator yet. So alpha is actually, you remember you take the arc sine or the inverse sine of both sides. So it's equal to inverse sine of all of this. And we should get an approximation here. So let's see what we get. Second sine of 10 sine of 30, close the sine, divided by our x, close the whole fraction, and we get 56.26. Now we're looking for alpha, which means this is an angle. So this would be 56.26 degrees. And now we can just use the fact that there are 180 degrees in a triangle to come up with our last angle. So 180 degrees minus 30 and 56.26. So this would be angle gamma. And I get 93.74 degrees.